Welcome, everybody. Thank you for coming. I'm just checking my stuff right now, seeing how things are going. Sorry, give me just a second. All right, awesome. Well, let's hit some of these stories, shall we? As most people probably heard, Lindsey Graham... Hang on, let me find his picture here. Sorry, there. As most people probably heard, Lindsey Graham has passed away. This is my way, this is the way I view it. I'm not going to celebrate anyone's death except for maybe one or two people. But I'm not going to cry when I read the obituary. Put it that way. Let's talk about this dude's record. Let's talk about what kind of person this guy was when he was alive.
When you look at the last few years since October 7th, many people in
Sorry, let me turn it up. Hold on.
this part of the world say what happened in Gaza does not align with Christian.
Okay.
When you look at the last few years since October 7th, many people in this part of the world say what happened in Gaza does not align with Christian values. Killing children, killing mothers,
Well, to be honest
killing
with
families
you,
who are not militants.
Yeah, I don't buy that at all.
Why?
You don't buy that murdering is not a Christian value? Hey, you know what? Fair. Christianity has murdered a lot of people in the past. I agree with you, Lindsay. It is a Christian value. Murder.
Because what did we do in World War II? Did we think 1 minute about starving the Germans? Did we bomb every city into smithereens? So this is a war. No,
October
this is
7th to World War II.
Yes, I am. This is.
That's absurd and disgusting. You know, the defining feature of Germany in World War II era Europe was that they were nationalists. They were far-right, extreme nationalist nutcases. They would do anything it took to accomplish their goals. Ends justify the means mentality. And they believed that Germans had a right to control the entire region, a unique right, ordained by God, as a matter of fact. And Israel believes the same thing. Since we're making that comparison, since Lindsey Graham made that comparison, let's compare the two. Israel right now is like the Nazis in Germany in how nationalist and extreme they are, in how far they're willing to go to take control of the region, in the evil they're willing to perpetuate. They believe they have a God-ordained right to control the region that others don't. There are nationalists to the core in Israel right now, unfortunately. So if we're going to make that comparison, it should be the other way around. Gazans are being persecuted and locked up as political prisoners and hated and tortured and abused. Do you know that recently a Palestinian was in an Israeli jail and was brutally raped in that jail to such a brutal degree that the person needed surgery to repair the damage. And it was caught on video. There were 5 Israelis who participated in this. I believe it was 5. They were not only unmasked, but they did a whole talk show circuit. They were famous, loved, adored, doing God's work, taking advantage of innocent Palestinians who have no control over the situation. If that is not a dead ringer for Germany in the 1930s, I don't know what is.
It's an absolute existential threat to the Jewish people. What happened?
If Israel disappears, it is not an existential threat to the Jewish people. Unless you believe that Israel means Jews and Jews means Israel. If you think it's an ethno-state, if you think it's a far-right ethno-state, then you could call it an existential threat. But Jews can live without the state of Israel. That's possible. You know, this isn't even the only time that there was a persecuted minority, genuinely persecuted, who believed they had the right, nay, the mandate, to create an ethno-state and persecute members that were not from their group. Serbs did that. Serbia tried to become an ethno-state because Serbs were genuinely persecuted. It is no different, and it's not acceptable now. It's not acceptable then either. Ethno-states like Germany in World War II or Israel today are unacceptable.
Minute about starving the Germans? Did we bomb every city into smithereens? So this is a war. No,
October 7th to World War II.
Yes, I am. This is an absolute existential threat to the Jewish people. What happened on October the 7th was 1,200 people were slaughtered, raped, and murdered and filmed by radical Islamists who would kill every Jew if they could, to the world. If you don't understand this is a threat to Israel's
And then
survival,
they flattened Gaza.
just flatten it. We flattened Berlin. We flattened Tokyo. Were we wrong?
Okay. So he says 1,200 people died in Israel on October 7th. Horrifying. Don't like that. Don't want that. That's evil, right? 73,000 people, innocent men, women, and children, have died in Gaza since October 7th. 73,000. Compared to 1,200 in Israel. Nobody should be dying. Nobody. But why are you talking about the 1,200 who died, but not the 73,000 who died at the hands of radical, right-wing, extremist, fucking nutcase Israelis?
Flattened Berlin. We flattened Tokyo. Were we wrong to drop an atomic bomb to end the Japanese reign of terror? Were we?
Yes. The atomic bomb was not necessary at that point. They were already prepared to surrender. We dropped it as a show of force to the Soviet Union. Yeah, it was wrong to drop the atomic bomb.
So, my view, if I were Israel, I would have probably done it the same way. Without military victory, there is no hope of breaking radicalism. We flattened Germany. We flattened Japan.
Yeah, okay. So, one more time there.
The same way. Without military victory, there is no hope of breaking radicalism.
Okay, and how did that work out for you in Iraq, Lindsey Graham, and Afghanistan? This has been proven over and over again. When you try to break the back of radicalism, quote unquote, it only leads to more radicals. What do you think happens to a kid whose mom was just killed by an American soldier? What do you think that kid is gonna What do you think that kid is gonna grow up and do? What is he gonna focus on for the rest of his fucking life?
We flattened Germany. We flattened Japan.
How many Americans
Wait a
believe
minute.
this?
Out of that, we
The way that how many Americans think the way that you do?
I think most Republicans think the way I do.
Even young ones.
Yeah, you're just out of touch if you don't understand Republicans, when it comes to radical Islam, is on Israel's side. It's not even close.
Okay. Anyway, he was an evil piece of shit. I'm sorry. I know you got this whole thing where you're not supposed to speak ill of the dead, but he was a politician, and thus, in my mind, is fair game. Fuck him. He was fucking evil.
All the anti-Semites to all the isolationists, I don't believe. Forget it. I'm not with you. I'm with Israel. I will be with Israel to our dying day.
And he was. Charlie Kirk actually had something to say about this, fascinatingly. Listen to this one. Yeah, Seminites, the anti-Seminites.
Let's do some updates about Israel and Iran and potentially the United States. On one side is...
I'm sorry. Let me step back, start it over, and turn up the volume. Pump up the volume.
Let's do some updates about Israel and Iran and potentially the United States. On one side is the Lindsey Graham, John Bolton types, where they are actively calling for regime change. Here is Lindsey Graham. This is just lunacy. He's this kind of analysis is not...
It's the analysis we just watched. This is June 17th, 2025. Fascinating.
Not helpful. This kind of approach, this kind of argument, it has nothing to do with nuclear weapons at this point. This is now that we want to go all in and take out the regime. It's time for us to close the chapter on the Iranian Ayatollah and his henchmen and start a new chapter in the Middle East. And that sounds good, doesn't it? But what have we learned when it comes to wars, and especially wars in the Middle East?
It never works out the way you think it's going to. You're going to burn through $6 trillion fucking dollars that you don't have to spend, and you're going to have absolutely nothing to show for it. Nothing on the other side, except for a massive budget shortfall. That's what we learned from the Iraq and Afghanistan wars. Do you know how much 6 trillion is? I'm sorry, let's just marinate on this for a minute. Do you know what it would cost to outfit the entire United States with fully renewable energy sources? Like no more oil, no more gas, no more anything like that. No more fossil fuels, period. Fully solar-powered, wind-powered, nuclear-powered. How much would that cost, do you think? About 6 trillion. What we spent on killing children in the Middle East would have bought us unlimited free energy. It would cost somewhere in the range of 30 trillion, which is under our national debt, to outfit the entire world in unlimited free energy. But what are we spending it on? Murdering children, of course.
But what have we learned when it comes to wars, and especially wars in the Middle East? What you draw up on a whiteboard rarely happens. What you think theoretically is going to occur, there might be unintended and unforeseen consequences, especially when you're talking about a country 2.5 times the size of Texas. It has 90 million people and was an ancient and great power with well over a dozen ethnic groups. You have underground Christians. You don't really have many Jews left in Persia. But also you have secular younger Persians. Who's going to run the country exactly, Lindsey Graham? This sounds like Hillary Rodham Clinton.
Fucking thank you. Although Hillary, why do they keep using their middle names? That's bizarre. Hillary did not want to go into Iran. I don't know what he's smoking that he thinks that Hillary wanted to go into Iran. What? This is exclusively a Republican problem. We had a solution from Democrats, and here we sit on the other side of that solution, and it's been erased by Republicans. When the Iran nuclear deal, the JCPOA from Obama, was torn up by Donald Trump, it made war inevitable. We found a peaceful solution to this, and Trump got rid of that peaceful solution. It was guaranteed to happen sooner or later. And just to follow up on what I said, net zero America is the gold standard for fossil fuel use. Net zero does not mean zero necessarily. It means we're taking out more than we're putting in, or just about as much as we're putting in. It would cost 7.8 trillion. I'm sorry, hang on. No, I'm sorry. Wrong number. Let me just verify this because this is actually fascinating. It would cost about 300 billion. No. All right, let me just read the website. It's Princeton Engineering. I was trying to find the important parts, but I'll just read the website. They mapped 5 different pathways to net zero by 2050 down to the country level. Business as usual, doing nothing. The U.S. spends about $9.4 trillion on energy over the next decade. And across all 5 net zero scenarios, energy system costs came out only about 3%, roughly $300 billion higher over that decade. So what would it actually cost us to go net zero? About $300 billion more than we're spending anyway. That's what it would cost. Now, there's another study, the Jacobson-Stanford study, 100% wind, water, solar, 7.8 trillion upfront for the U.S., about 288,000 5-megawatt wind turbines, and 16,100 megawatt solar farms, using roughly 1% of U.S. land, 85% of which is turbine spacing that stays farmable. Jacobson excludes nuclear on purpose, and his work has drawn serious criticism for that reason. I think nuclear is going to have to act as a bridge between what we have now and what we need, in one man's humble opinion. But anyway, the point is, what would it cost over a decade? About $300 billion more than we're spending anyway. And instead, we're spending that money on murdering innocent people.
In Libya. So I'm pointing to the first extreme right now, the neoconservative extreme. The we must go take off the head of the snake right now. Play cut 285.
Be all in, President Trump, in helping Israel eliminate the nuclear threat. If we need to provide bombs to Israel, provide bombs. If we need to fly planes with Israel, do joint operations. But here's the bigger question. Wouldn't the world be better off if the Ayatollahs went away and replaced by something better? Wouldn't Iran be better off? It's time to close the chapter on the Iranian Ayatollah and his henchmen. Let's close that chapter soon and start a new chapter in the Mideast, one of tolerance, hope, and peace.
Okay, that sounds good, but that's pathologically insane. I'm sorry, it is. How do you know it's going to be better? Yeah, the Ayatollah is awful. But maybe he's one of the few guys that can keep that country together and not have a 90 million person civil war.
Yeah, people don't seem to understand how fucking big Iran is, genuinely. It's ginormagantuan. It's a third the size of the United States. They're not living in caves. People confuse Iran and Iraq, or Iran and like Pakistan, some rural areas of Pakistan. They're not living in caves or tunnels in Iran, okay? They're fucking huge. They are a world power in their own right. The only reason they're not considered a world power officially is because they've been sanctioned to hell and back. They're certainly a regional power at a bare minimum.
Lindsey Graham is so consistently out of his mind, it's hard to even comprehend. Iran is hugely diverse. It is a massive country. Do the people agitating for war even know that? Because be clear, regime
I doubt it.
change is war. Just to understand, regime change is not like changing the head coach at the Chicago Bears. It's not how it works. It's not like a clean transfer. Typically in the Mideast, it's very messy, creates a quagmire, and then there is civil war.
And there is no realistic way to actually accomplish your goal. You can want to change regime in Middle Eastern countries. It's not going to happen that way. Regime change in the Middle East, in my opinion, hasn't actually worked the way that was, it's never worked the way intended. But it hasn't worked at all in any way since like 1950 something.
Do you understand how large Iran is? It's massive. It's a very big country. It's mountainous. It makes Afghanistan and Iraq look like a cakewalk. Just look at this beast of a country with all the different regions, all the different dialects, if we could put that up on screen. And then you have a major refugee concern of Mohammedans that will come to Europe and endanger more Christians and Jews.
Okay, Mohammedans. Why is he not calling them Muslims? That's weird. Anyway, I mean, I don't know why he's complaining about that. That seems like xenophobia at its core. But either way, these people absolutely do not understand what they're calling for when they call for regime change in Iran. That's fucking insane. It's like calling for regime change in China or Russia. No, Iran is not bigger than Russia, but they're almost as big, right? Iran population, 93 million. I think Russia is 120 million. 143 million. So they're slightly smaller. About 25% smaller than Russia, I would say.
Mohammedans that will come to America. No, that is wrong. So that is one extreme. The other extreme is one that I have deep respect and reverence for, because I actually think if we had that other extreme, we would not have invaded Iraq. This other extreme is philosophically important. It's important to consider, and that's the Ron Paul extreme. And I love Ron Paul. Ron Paul is awesome. I would have Ron Paul on the show regularly. He is a hero because Ron Paul had the courage to challenge old sacred cows of the Republican Party. He made people defend the indefensible. But the Ron Paul perspective is strictly isolationist. I actually agree with a lot of this other extreme. A lot. I think it's healthy to have this other extreme more than the neoconservative extreme because this extreme has been underrepresented in the public dialogue and discourse the last 20 years. So you have these two extremes. I honestly don't think the neoconservative extreme needs to be represented philosophically anymore. It's uninteresting to me. They've done a mess of Iraq, Afghanistan, Libya, the entire Middle East.
Yeah, well, obviously the neocons won in the end, right?
Crane, we know what the neoconservatives believe. I do think hearing out, and honestly, I agree with a lot of the more, I think isolationist is used as a pejorative, but let's just say restrained community. Take out the Ayatollah. Resist that temptation. That's not prudence. That's not self-control. That's something else talking. That's a zeal. And that very same zeal got us involved in a pile of garbage in Iraq. It all felt good with shock and awe in March of 2003. We're unstoppable. We're going to take Iraq in a weekend. Turns out, didn't work that way.
Yeah. So the point is that Lindsey Graham was a war hawk. He was one of those neocons that Charlie Kirk spoke out against frequently. And he was fucking nuts. He was absolutely fucking nuts. I don't know what broke in this dude's brain, but something was not right all the way up to the bitter end. Tell me what you think about it in the comments. I don't want to see anybody except for maybe one or two people pass away calmly in their sleep. I don't want to see that. But I'm not going to cry when I read his obituary. And you know what, actually, just an editing reminder. Let's put this piece closer to the beginning because I feel like people are going to want to hear this. I want to talk about his poll numbers or who's going to take over in his place. Hang on. Give me a minute. Let me see if I can just find some answers to this real fast. Hold on. So, apparently he died of an aortic... Wait, where did it... Of an aortic dissection and aorta rupture. His heart ruptured. Jesus Christ, dude. Corroborated... Yeah, no, okay, we're good. He died on July 11th at 71. That's pretty young, it seems to me. He's still got a lot of time. I mean, look at Trump. He's still kicking. He's like 103. Regarding what happens next with Lindsey Graham's seat. Under South Carolina law, Governor Henry McMaster, Republican, appoints a temporary replacement to serve out the rest of Graham's term. So it's going to be a Republican for between now and the end of the term. And it's a Senate seat, so it's every 6 years. However, Lindsey Graham, I believe, had an election coming up soon. If you take a look at this, wavemap.us, I designed this website, and you can do all kinds of cool stuff. Like, you can go into prediction mode. Wait, where is... Yeah, here. And on election night, you can call states red or blue or solidly red or whatever, and it will change the outlook for the other states. Like, if we win Arkansas, safe Democrat, then Texas is almost certainly going to go. Nebraska has a better chance. South Carolina has a better chance. That's prediction mode. You can flip that on or off. Anyway, South Carolina is already kind of a toss-up, in my opinion. Let me just look here. So, actual Democrat votes for the previous election in South Carolina, 906,000 Democrats to 1.2 million Republicans. Now, I have this wave model that I designed, and my wave model posits that we've been seeing a massive increase in Democratic turnout. Multiple of 2. 2 times as many Democrats vote in the primaries as last round. And if that holds true, it probably won't be 2 times. But if it were, this is what the map would look like at the end of the primaries. We'd have 60 Senate seats, and we would have 319 to 66 House seats. Complete blowout. Again, that's not likely, in my opinion. I think we're more likely to see 1.5 times as many Democrats turn out as last time. If that's the case, we're looking at 247 to 168 House seats and 55 to 44 Senate seats. South Carolina is on the fence if that happens. So, right out the gate, Lindsey Graham is going to be replaced with a Republican until the election takes place. Graham had already won the June Republican primary and was on the ballot for the November general election for Senate. So state law basically, hang on, I'm looking here. So according to state law, candidate filing July 21st to 28th, special Republican primary August 11th, runoff August 25th, if nobody clears 50%. Names that are actually in the mix. Nancy Mace. She came out and said she was looking at running. God, please don't let it be her. Representative Joe Wilson. Nancy Mace claimed on the record that McMaster has already settled on Wilson for the interim slot. Not confirmed by McMaster's office. McMaster, that's a familiar name. I know McMaster. Wasn't he a fucking psycho? I feel like he was. I could have sworn I had something from him, a video from him. Let me go to the twit, see if I can find a video from McMaster. Not seeing anything here.
Like with the...
Is this the same guy? This might be the same guy. I can't tell. I'm not super sure if this is the same McMaster, but here is a McMaster being discussed on C-SPAN.
Like with the abortion ruling that the Supreme Court issued earlier this year, that the court could also reverse the gay marriage precedent that it passed. South Carolina law currently bans gay marriage as well as the state constitution. If the court reverses the gay marriage ruling that it had...
Nope, unrelated. I'm going to kill that because it's a different guy. Anyway, so Representative Joe Wilson probably going to fill in for Lindsey Graham in the interim and has a good shot at being on the ballot in November. Nancy Mace has a good shot at being on the ballot in November. Pamela Yvette, Lieutenant Governor, also has a good chance of being on the ballot in November for Senate to fill Lindsey Graham's spot. Ralph Norman is on the list, and Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent, according to Politico, says that he's considering running, interesting. Okay. Let me see if I can find the poll numbers for... Okay, Trump won South Carolina by 17.9 points in 2024. Democrats haven't won a a South Carolina Senate seat since 1998. Unlikely that Democrats would win in our current environment, or in the previous environment. But in our current environment, I think things are a little bit different. I don't know. I call me crazy. I have a hunch that South Carolina might actually be in play. We will see what happens. Anyway, tell me what you think about it in the comments. Again, yeah, for editing purposes, move that stuff closer to the front because that's what people are going to want to know about. All right, sweet. Let's hit the next story. And actually, let me write down my timestamps. Hold on. Before I forget. Timestamps. Lindsey Graham. And 31. Okay. Now let me pull up Briefcase. I actually redesigned Briefcase's user interface. I like it a lot better now. I think it's really good. You can pop up stuff and everything. Yeah.
We're not going to let you.
Yeah, pretty good. I like it. All right. Let's see. So we finished Lindsey Graham. Delete that collection. Could hit Tucker next. Portals. Let's hit Portals next. Yes, for sure. We're going to hit Portals next. Open. Perfect. Briefcase. This app that I'm working on here, I got a developer certificate, and I'm going to make the app properly available to people if they want it, but not yet. Before we watch this, I'm going to run and use the bathroom real fast. Take me 30 seconds. And while I do that, I'm going to let something play for just a second, okay? Let's just jump in halfway here. I'll be right back.
And we'll be first to bring it to you. All right, speaking of, let's change directions and head over to Cuba. They're having some issues.
Let's jump to this spot.
By myself, I don't know how to play this thing, but anyway, I'll work on it while I'm on vacation. But here's the deal.
With props.
Remember the scripture with prop? Well, I had a prop. You know, I was over here by myself singing my own tune, Gene. But thank you for...
We've always said you marched to a different drum.
Letting me be part...
Yeah.
Listen, Gene, I'm definitely an individualist. Okay, now...
All right. Well, thanks for your comment.
That's an individualist. Yeah. Well, okay, well... Okay, for those viewers today, just whatever Rick and whatever Mark said, that's my comment. But I will say this, they're getting more and more creative. We're going to have to discern what they're saying because they're still moving their agenda forward. That is my comment.
I think you're absolutely right, Pastor Hank. You're absolutely right. All right, so let's go to Dearborn, Michigan. This one, it's just shocking to see people do this. Here's the police chief. Look at what he said.
When I joined the department, Dearborn's Arab American population was nearly 50%. Yet less than 3% of our police force reflected the community that we served. The department was not always welcoming to people who were different. Today, the Dearborn Police Department is the department that I wish I worked for when I first started my career. It's now a department that reflects and embraces the community it serves, with 45% of our officers being Arab American. It's a department that respects the dignity and rights of all individuals, including the right to wear hijab, even when facing the justice system. It's a department that is taking meaningful steps to address historical inequity. Together, we've built a police department that values diversity.
Okay, I'm back. Let's hit Portals. Pull up my list here. Portals. 35. All right, good. Yeah. Okay, I'm sorry, I'm just organizing these now. Oh my God. Let's see. 26? Yeah, here we go. This is Donna Rigney. She claims to be a prophet of the Lord on behalf of Donald Trump. Listen to what she said. She's opening portals over the White House.
When we were all done the next day, Father explained to me, he said,
Father explained
that now that this was opened, This portal was open over the White House and over Mar-a-Lago. Donald Trump was going to easily be able to get intel from the Holy Spirit.
Because you see, Trump couldn't get intel from the Holy Spirit unless this woman opened a portal between the White House and heaven. See, she should be in the cabinet, right? If she can open portals for people, she should absolutely be in a cabinet position, seems to me.
Hallelujah.
That God was going to easily be able to give him wisdom for decisions he has to make. That it's just open communication. That God will easily be able to speak to him and he'll hear him.
Because see, Trump, he's not holy enough to open his own portals. Apparently, he needs some jagoff to do it for him.
There's be nothing getting in the way of him being able to hear. Just like Daniel, it took 21 days for him to get the answer. That's not going to happen with an open heaven immediately.
Yeah, because because God uses the post office to send letters, right?
Donald Trump will be able to get direction from God, how to lead the nation, and other presidents after, if they're serving God. They too will be able to, okay, with the portal that's open.
So he connected him to Bluetooth.
So now we're finishing up where everyone's because I explained to them after each song what I saw, and then we shared. Other people saw things too, and somebody felt the Holy Spirit guide them to take a picture of the sky. And so, oh boy, so here's a picture of the sky, and then.
Oh my God, dude! She actually took a picture of the sky to prove there's a portal there. Fucking please! I thought this portal was in the ethereal realm. I thought this was a spiritual portal. You're telling me it's a real, literal, physical portal?
Towards the bottom in the center of the photo was a brighter light. And so as we expanded it, if you look at it closely, you can see a profile of an angel's face.
What?
And
wow.
Wow.
Of the angel blowing the debris. That's what I did. I'm like, wow.
So painfully fucking stupid, dude. Oh my God. It is so fucking stupid. Anyway, this is not the first time that this woman has said she's opening portals to the White House. She's done it. She did it another time. This one is from February 1st, 2025. A year and a half before this one.
I said, we're going to open a portal tonight over the White House. And we are going to give glory to God as this happens. That God wants that portal open, so we're believing for that. And we're going to get rid of all that's wicked, that all presidents before Donald Trump invited by their actions any evil into the White House. My son John had a vision. He's a prophet. And he had a vision. And
her son is a prophet. Okay.
Saw the White House months ago, all in black. And it was like a shade was pulled, and God spoke. And he said, my White House is going to be turned white again. And then it was like a shade, it came up, and the whole White House turned white. Yeah, so that's God's plan. So anyway, so we commanded all witchcraft, anything evil in the White House to go. We really got into prayer for Donald Trump, for what he had to do when he got in there. And so we worshiped, then we got into worship, a real powerful time of worship.
So the point is that these people are obsessed with the possibility that portals are around, that they're opening them into the ethereal realm. As a matter of fact, this is a very old idea, and I talked about this back in 2022. April 25th, 2022, there was another portal that opened above the White House, apparently, but this one was bad. This one was Robin Bullock trying to close aforementioned portal that Roger Stone had discovered.
There's that circular thing. There you can see it. It's very, very clear. It doesn't move day or night. It's harder to see during the day, but you see it at night. I'm absolutely convinced about the inherent, there it is again, about the inherent evil.
It was literally just like a lens flare artifact type of thing. You can tell that it's video compression because of the way it looks. This happens when videos are transmitted over a lot, like a low bandwidth line or whatever. But okay, whatever. It's a portal. Oh, look, this one looks like a face too. If you kind of turn it sideways and scrunch it up.
What's going on in the White House, what's going on in the country. And I think it's imperative that people know about this, that people of good faith, that Christians know about this, and we begin a national, essentially a prayer assault to close the portal.
That's good. Now, there's one during the day that it's harder to see, but
that's literally not a portal. That is literally the lighting. Are you fucking kidding me with this right now? My God, people.
You can see it. It's there. It's right there above the White House. So
it's always above that gable. You notice that?
Yeah. Oh,
it's right above the gable.
It is. Now, Roger, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but you're talking about prayer, that it needs prayer.
We have to close the portal. That's what this is about. We now, as Christians, our obligation is to close the portal, which is to essentially to drive Satan away.
So these three fools were trying to close this portal. They viewed it as dangerous, right? This is a bad portal. This is not a portal opened by Donna Rigney so Trump can communicate with God. But lo and behold, 2 years later, Robin Bullock comes out on air with Drenda Cassie, I think. She's got some show on the Christian Broadcasting Network or whatever. And he has a different explanation for that portal. That very same portal showed by Roger Stone.
It's Baal worship. So we've come...
I'm sorry, let me turn this up.
It's Baal worship. So we've come down. See, that day we called down, I said, Lord, send the fire. The Elijah moment. Then this portal forms over the White House.
Well, that's interesting, huh? Same exact photo that he got from Roger Stone, and he's claiming credit for this portal.
Of fire. And it's over it now. And they don't want anybody to see that.
They don't? You literally claimed it was a satanic fucking portal 2 years earlier. This is what tells me they're lying. They are knowingly, intentionally falsifying information with the intent to deceive. It's not that they're fucking idiots. They are that, but that's separate from what's happening right now. He is intentionally, knowingly lying to the audience. He literally said a prayer to close this portal on air with Roger Stone. And here he is with the exact same image lying to your fucking face.
And but it was there, and I guess it's still there. It was there, and it was their own cameras that showed it. And people couldn't get over it because in the daylight it was like a round circle, and at night it looked like an orange moon surrounded with a white circle, and then this fiery storm over to the side.
Tell me about...
Hey, check it out. It's his wife. It's Robin Bullock's wife, Robin Bullock. Yes, really, that is her name, Robin Bullock.
What is that portal for? What's the purpose of that?
Well, I called for fire like Mount Carmel that day. After that, it formed. But there is a corridor. See, demonic spirits can't open portals into heaven.
Really? Huh. Interesting. So you're saying that it was impossible from the start that this was a demonic portal? Is that what he's saying? Or is he saying they can open portals to this realm, but not to the heavenly realm? I can't tell.
But they open them through time.
Or trying to build a tower, right? Tower of Babel.
That's what that was about. And it was about, and there was a lot to that tower. But what you saw is a corridor open and a battle over a portal, over this nation.
So anyway, they're lying. I'm sorry, there's a loud car. Give it a second. Hang on. Somebody really cool out there, revving their engine loud enough to blow out my fucking eardrums. You know the type? So fucking cool. I wish I was that cool, that I had an engine that I could rev that fucking loud and destroy my engine while blowing out people's eardrums. That's just a really cool thing to do, you know? Anyway, that's beside the point. The point is, Robin Bullock knew. He knew he was lying. These people are insufferable, lying shitheads. They're doing it intentionally. They are lying to people to deceive them. Disgusting. Tell me what you think about it in the comments. Okay, cool. Just checking here. Let me write down my timestamps. Portals 35 to 46. That's a little short, but that's okay. I think that'll work. All right. So we got the portals taken care of. Delete. Let's talk about Tucker, what he's got going on right now. It's kind of wild. Give me a second to pull up another clip here from him. I'm sorry, 1 second. I'm just looking. All right. Is a hostage to pro-Israel. Spell-like quality about him. Yeah, we'll pull this one up. Blasphemy, mockery of Jesus Christ. Finally apologizes. Yeah. Okay, good. Let's pull this up too. Tucker Carlson is making some really interesting moves right now. I guess he's starting a new political party that is like anti-Republican and anti-Trump, apparently. And he's really coming out against Trump hard right now. Check this clip out. Which one is this? No.
Into this war following Israel. So it's like, that is the opposite of America first. That's America in the subordinate position, the female position, the bottom in this relationship.
Okay. I don't know why you had to turn this sexual, but fine.
And that's the opposite of what we thought we were getting and what they told us we were getting. It's like, it's such a betrayal that anyone attached to that is going to have a hard time reestablishing trust, even if he's a good man. And J.D. Vance is a good man, but I think it's hard. It's like, you're part of that. I mean, how could you betrayed us? And it's the betrayal that makes it so bitter for people like me and maybe you who voted for Trump, and I campaigned for and with him. It's like, really? We really believe that you were going to at least try? And in the end, it's all about cryptocurrency scams and wars for Israel?
Well, if you really thought Trump was going to try, then you're a fucking idiot. I don't believe for a second that Tucker Carlson really thought Trump was going to do what he wanted him to do. I don't believe it for a second. Wait, did I just pop out for a second? Did something happen to my video, or am I good? It seemed like something happened to video for just a second, though. Anyway. You're the fool, Tucker. He knew what he was doing.
I mean, I can't believe you did that. Hiding the Epstein stuff? Yelling at anyone who asked questions about the Butler shooting? Are you kidding? I'm an adult. I'm from this country.
Wait, did Trump discourage people from asking about the Butler attack in Pennsylvania? I don't remember that. What's he talking about here?
Like, I own this government. I own exactly as much of the government as you do because we're both citizens. How dare you speak to me the way you work for me? Like, that's how I personally feel about it. Like, I'm outraged that someone I supported would do something like this, would betray the country and his own voters, and then to whip around and say, I'm not loyal. I'm not loyal. I am loyal. My whole life is marked by loyalty. I'm married to my high school girlfriend.
Oh, fucking please, dude. Yeah, you're such a traditional, loyal guy. Absolutely, Tucker.
I believe in loyalty, okay? You're disloyal. You sold out the country to a foreign nation.
That one's fair. Anyway, he's been coming at Trump for a while now, fascinatingly. I don't know if you guys remember this one. Did you see where he said that Trump is casting a witchcraft spell on people?
And Trump engenders cowardice in the people around him through intimidation. And there is a kind of quality that he has that's spellbinding. And I think it probably literally is a spell. And the effect is to weaken people around him and make them more compliant and more confused. And
a supernatural spell that Trump has learned from witches or something, right?
I've experienced this myself. You spend a day with Trump and sort of like you're in this kind of dreamland. It's like smoking hash or something. It's interesting. Very interesting.
How do you know what smoking hash is like, Tucker?
And there may be a supernatural component to it. I'm not a theologian, but it's real. And anyone who's been around him can tell you it's real. But whatever the cause, no one around him was weighing in strongly, as far as I know, on either side, for or against. But people from the outside were strongly weighing in, calling him constantly.
That's fascinating, right? Tucker is trying to make it a religious point to not support Trump. I appreciate that. Trump is a sack of shit. I don't like lying, and I feel like that's pretty overtly what Tucker is doing. I'm not even sure Tucker is a Christian, to tell you the truth. But whatever kind of... I love it when mommy and daddy are fighting. We'll put it that way. Let's see. What was this one? This one was 327, 155. Yeah, check this clip out. This is more of Tucker coming at Donald Trump.
How does I'll just say one of the most challenging themes in the Gospels for me as an American are Jesus's prescriptions against greed, because I think that's the one thing American Christians never face. Like money is not inherently bad, but the love of it is bad.
No. Money. All right. I think money is good, actually. And this idea that money is bad is a delusion granted to the poor by the rich, in my opinion. Greed is bad. Just filthy, disgusting, trillionaire levels of greed. That's evil. That shit is vile. But money isn't bad. I'm sorry. Just a little bit of an aside there. I felt it's important to point out.
Famously the root of all evil. What does the gospel tell us about greed? And how is that reflected in the preaching you hear from the pulpit?
You know, one of the most beautiful things that Jesus accomplished when he conquered death was that he replanted on the earth the original relationship of man and woman to God that had disappeared at the fall. And that was a life of complete consecration, where the happiness of Adam and Eve was to be called God's friend. That was their greatest honor, the church fathers say, is to be called God's friend. And I just note that Jesus said that to his disciples at the end of his ministry. He said, I no longer call you my disciples, you're my friends. That was an incredible honor. Abraham, the great patriarch, was called the friend of God. In the New Testament, as soon as Jesus sent the Holy Spirit on the day of Pentecost, remember, he was crucified, he plundered hell, he rose again on the third day. He spent 40 days teaching us how to live in the new resurrection life and how to love people and evangelize the world. And then he ascended to heaven, right, from the Mount of Olives. I've stood on the spot in the Holy Land.
Wow, look at you.
And in front of his eyes, the eyes of his disciples. And he sat down at the right hand of God. And then as a coronation gift of his enthronement, he sent forth the Holy Spirit 10 days later on the day of Pentecost. And the whole community of Christians, 120 at that time in the upper room, became spirit bearers, something that in the Old Testament only kings were. Now this is the common patrimony of all believers, is to be able to be indwelt by the third person of the Holy Trinity, the Holy Spirit, to have the Spirit of God guiding you, such that we don't, as Christians, look for God out there. We experience God in here. He takes up his residence in baptism in the deep.
Okay, that is a colossal load of shit. But anyway, the point is, Tucker has fully turned on Donald Trump and is now blaming him for all kinds of stuff, rightfully. And I absolutely love to watch these people fight amongst each other. Glorious shit. Tucker's actually saying a lot of unusual stuff that I wouldn't have expected to hear from him. Defending Democrats on various things, stuff like that. But at the end of the day, he is fully a propagandist and should not be trusted. Period. Tell me what you think in the comments. That felt really short, but that's okay. How long was that one? 56? Yeah, that was short. No big deal. All right. Let me see here. Tucker. Delete. Beckwith. All right. Let's pull up some of these. Open. Awesome. Which one is the newest one? 25, 26. I believe this is the newest. No, this is the newest one. Yeah. And then this one, and then this one. Good. I should trim this. This is Micah Beckwith on the right. He's the lieutenant governor of Indiana, and he's out of his gourd, drunk on hate and Christian nationalism.
Your mosque and you want to have a loudspeaker, you should ban the.
Wait.
We should ban the calls to prayer, right? Public calls to prayer. If you're a mosque and you want to have a loudspeaker and you want to start, pumping these out 5 times a day locally, the state can say you're not going to do that, right? We're not allowing that. We're not going to let you sing. You put these words of death and destruction throughout the city streets in any of our cities, right?
I'm sorry. First of all, what? Messages of death and destruction. Okay. And second, that's interesting. You allow church bells. Overtly, explicitly, he says he's okay with church bells. I'm quoting him. But he's not okay with mosques. He's not okay with prayer calls. It's interesting, right? Pure, unadulterated hypocrisy to the absolute core.
If you're going to start saying, hey, we're going to require, certain practices in a public display. Listen, we are a Christian nation. The Supreme Court in the Coach Kennedy case ruled that. They said, hey, the heritage of America is a Christian heritage. And so that's why Christianity takes precedent over all other faiths. Everyone can worship how they want, but you don't get to implement Islam in our public spaces. You can't put the—
Yeah, we're doing that. We're implementing our religion in the public spaces. You're not allowed to because we are. There's no principle to be found here. There isn't some principled stand of, well, it ends badly every time somebody tries to force religion on others. We can look at the Crusades as evidence of that. That's not the principled stand he's taking. His principled stand is Christianity is superior to Islam, so we're banning Islam. And yes, I did take it that step to say ban, because that's what he wants. Fascinatingly, his position, I think, might be contrived. I don't think he even means it. I don't think he gives a fuck about Islam. I think he cares about winning an election, and he believes that Islam is how you go about doing that. Wait, let me find the right. Yeah, this is the one I believe.
I didn't say this whole thing on Islam for political reasons, but I will tell you right now, this is a political winner. I mean, if you're a conservative and you want to, rally the base and the majority of people to support you in politics, if this was for political expediency, take a stand against Islam. I mean, that right now, I mean, this is just a winning issue for America, because it's not because Americans hate Muslims. It's because we recognize the wicked ideology, and a lot of people just don't know how to address it. So when they see somebody standing up saying, hey, I'm going to call it out, I'm going to run at this thing head on, it resonates with people. So I've been very encouraged. People have been texting me a lot over the last few days, but oh my gosh, we've been seeing all the negative, media, and we're so sorry, and we hope you're doing okay. And I'm like, I'm doing great. I love it. I think this is fantastic. I mean, this is exactly what I got elected to do, and I'm doing it. And
what, to start shit with people, with minority groups that you don't like? That's what you were elected to do? The point is that he knows that attacking Islam is of political benefit to him, so he's going to attack Islam for the political benefits. Dude is fucking evil. That is evil shit. Look, I hate Islam. I can't fucking stand Islam. I think it's destructive. I think it's oppressive. But this dude is lying and attacking a minority group with the intent to hurt them and benefit himself. The whole point here is to hurt others, to step on others' faces, to get a leg up, to get a little bit higher. That's the point. That's what he's doing. That is some vile fucking shit. And honestly, anybody who's willing to do something like that should be nowhere near politics. They are the last people on planet Earth who should be given any sort of power. But now we know why he's doing this, why he's saying this, right? We know the foundation of this. He doesn't give a fuck about Islam. He's doing this for his own personal benefit. He's attempting to hurt others for his own personal gain. Now listen to what he says in this clip.
Well, I just think, if that vote holds and we see that Virginia...
Sorry, hang on. Let me turn this up a bit here. Volume set to 100. I should probably...
Well, I just think,
What should I set this to automatically? What is it now? 150 maybe? 200? Maybe I should set it to 200 by default. All right, let me try again. Yeah. Wait. Under attack, spiritual warfare. Yeah, let's listen to this one.
Well, I just think, if that vote holds and we see that Virginia does amend their constitution to go down the redistricting path, I would just say, wake up, Christians. They are coming for you. And you can't pet a demon. I mean, I know people like to say just, hey.
First of all, who the fuck is they? Are they in the room with us right now? Second, you can't pet a demon? What does that even mean?
Demons stay over there, but, we just don't hurt us and we won't hurt you. It doesn't work that way.
Is he trying to coin a phrase right now? Is he trying to get people using this term or something?
Evil will find you. And until strong men stand up and do something and fight fire with fire, then we will continue to lose ground. Our children will be warped. The curse will be over the land, as Pastor Kuhneman was saying. And so I think it's time. Like, I hope it fails, but at the same time, I don't think it will. I think it will pass. I've kind of been saying that all along. Because the Democrats and the side of darkness, which again, Democrats aren't necessarily all dark, but they are being led by the minions and the voices of darkness. And they're going to win. They're planning to win.
Lieutenant Governor of fucking Indiana, right here. Democrats are fighting dirty. Democrats fighting dirty, playing to win, evil. What? Please fucking get help. There is no way he genuinely believes this shit, right?
And so we have to wake up and guys step up. And if we win, if we go on the battlefield, we will win. The question is, will we enter the battlefield? That's just what I don't know.
Anyway, he is absolutely awful. Check this clip out from him.
We're living in an era of Neville Chamberlains versus the Winston Churchills. And we have those 18 senators are Neville Chamberlain type. They think they can make peace with Hitler, make peace with evil, pet a demon.
Okay, he's definitely trying to make that a thing.
And that the demon will leave him alone. And what I'm trying to tell them is, guys, the Democrat Party is not your grandparents' Democrat Party. This is not the party of JFK. JFK fought against the communists. Now his party wants to be the communists.
Nonsense. There is no reputable person in the Democratic Party that wants to be communist. In no way are the Democrats communist. Not even a little bit, but okay, whatever.
Very different time that we live in. And so what we're trying to get them to wake up and see is, guys, it is time to fight. For crying out loud, they tried to assassinate Donald Trump twice. They did assassinate.
Who the fuck is they in this situation again? The people who, or the guy in Butler who took a shot at him was a Republican, a registered Republican voter. I don't know about the other one. I'm not sure what he's referring to specifically. Who took a shot at Trump a second time? Did somebody take a second shot at him? I don't remember now. Anyway, the point is he's doing whatever he can to radicalize people against Democrats, trying to demonize Democrats, turn them into the enemy, communist enemies.
Charlie Kirk. They are doing everything to destroy this great nation that God has given us. And it is now time for us to pull out the rod, be the shepherds that God has called us to be, and go fight. And so they don't see it. They think
right, get violent. Yeah, good idea.
We can just be peaceful. We can be non-conflict and it will go away. Literally.
Yeah, he's calling for violence here, right? That's clear as day. Saying peace is not working, we need to get violent. I mean, that was obvious from his Neville Chamberlain example. If you don't know anything about the era, about World War II era Germany, I wrote a book titled God's People, Christian Nationalism in the Third Reich, heavily researched, scholarly research. Like, I went into German archives for some of this stuff, and Hungarian archives, to get some of these documents that I exposed in my book. Some of these stories, some of this information is being told in English in my book for the first time ever. I'm really proud of it, obviously. But anyway, it's on Amazon and Audible if you want to read it. owenmorgan.com/godspeople. The point is, Neville Chamberlain was the leader of the UK, of England at the time. This is before Winston Churchill. And he believed that he created an agreement with Hitler, a pact that would keep England safe from Hitler. Hitler signed this agreement, and Neville Chamberlain went out there and said, peace in our time, and all that other shit. And it turned out to be completely fabricated, obviously. It did not work the way anybody expected it to. Or not the way Neville Chamberlain expected it to, at a bare minimum. Because you can't make deals with fascist dictators at the end of the day. You can't. They don't respect the deals, and they don't respect you. The only thing that dictators respect or even understand is shutting them down by force. They don't get talking with them. They don't understand that. They understand one thing, violence. Fascist dictators do.
Literally, I've heard him say, well, this will just pass. This will just blow over. It's not going to blow over. We lose this fight, we lose our future. And so that's what they just don't understand. And I think they're slowly starting to wake up to it. But it's been a lot harder than it should have been in Indiana.
Obviously, he's trying to inspire violence in people, right? That's what he meant when he said, you can't make deals with the Democrats because they are like, we don't want to be like Neville Chamberlain. Democrats are like Hitler. He wants violence. He wants a violent solution to his problems. Lieutenant Governor of Indiana. Vile. Anyway, tell me what you think about it in the comments. Just a disgusting piece of shit, genuinely. All right, let's see. What was the timing on that one? I'm really burning through these today. Time was 1:10. All right, awesome. I've been working on my TTS server, Bookforge, lately to try to get it working so that I can like listen to articles on the electric internet machine. I don't actually know the current state of where the fuck is Bookforge is gone. Hold on. Let me load the extension. Give me just a second. I'm sorry. Not to bore you guys to tears. I'm just looking for my projects. Bookforge. Extension. Dist. Good. All right. Let me see if I got it running now and if it's configured correctly. Let's give it a shot here. This should take about 10 to 20 seconds to actually load up, and once it's loaded up, it'll just go. Let's time it. All right, let's see. It's buffering. Let me check my memory use here. Huh. My memory use has been spiking. That's unusual.
In an act of ignorance so out of date, you'd think it happened 2 decades ago, Rod Joseph, an evangelical...
That's rough. Damn. All right, let's listen a little closer. Let me turn the volume up here and slow it down a bit. Nope, that was... I'm sorry, hang on. This is the correct knob.
Ignorance so out of date. In an act of ignorance so out of date, you'd think it happened 2 decades ago, Rod Joseph, an evangelical Christian U.S. House candidate from Florida, said in an interview that everyone is born straight, and gay people choose to be gay because the alternative is impossible biologically.
Okay, I think the prosody is really good on that, but I think I need to put some work into making it sound clearer. Maybe I'll try another model. Let me try loading this model in instead. And let me try playing it again. It's going to have to pull the TTS server up all over again. But that's okay. I'm curious. I'm curious how it sounds. Just give it a second. What do we want to hit next? We could hit this Christian influencer story. This is done. Beckwith. Born gay. Let's check patriots.win real fast here. Okay, hold on. It's still buffering. That's unusual. I think I'm going to have to shut the whole thing down and... It looks like it's coming up. It should be done already.
In an act of ignorance. So
there it is. It finished. Let's listen. How does this sound?
In an act of ignorance so out of date. You'd think it happened 2 decades ago. Rod Joseph, magical Christian U.S. House candidate from Florida.
I'm going to have to fix this model. This is terrible. Yeah, that's bad. All right, I'm just going to kill it for now. We'll read it by hand, if you will. And kill the model, and I'll work on that. Sorry, give me just one more second here. Hold the phone. Almost done. Okay. Hang on. All right, let's talk about this one. Check this article out. Evangelical Republican candidate Rod Joseph. You cannot be born gay. That's impossible. This is going to be bad. In an act of ignorance so out of date, you'd think it happened 2 decades ago. Rod Joseph, an evangelical Christian U.S. House candidate from Florida. Wow, Florida. I'm so surprised by that. Knocked me over with a feather. Said in an interview that everyone is born straight and gay people choose to be gay because the alternative is impossible biologically. Okay. Which is I love it how these people appeal to biology and science and nature when it's convenient to them, but I would be willing to bet doesn't even believe in evolution, right? Or doesn't even accept evolution as the fact that it is. Which is a hell of a thing to say when the district in which you're campaigning, which includes Wilton Manors, Fort Lauderdale, and Oakland Park, is considered an LGBTQ hub for South Florida. The comments came in response to a question asked by the Sun Sentinel editorial board on Tuesday about a recent tweet posted and eventually deleted by bigoted Republican Representative Andy Ogles. He said, at the beginning of Pride Month, homosexuality has no place in America. Happy Nuclear Family Month. Ogles, the sort of guy who would absolutely post something like that, quickly blamed an unnamed staffer for the tweet. Oh, I bet. Totally. It was somebody else that did it. This is the kind of shit that tells me that you are unwilling to take responsibility for your actions and thus are not a good leader. Hang on, let me take a handful of M&Ms here. All right. Damn, now I have to chew. I didn't think this one through. Hold on. Okay. The correct answer would have been to denounce the tweet and the sentiment underlying it before adding how that kind of anti-LGBT hate has no place in society. Joseph responded by saying he didn't want to comment at all before baring his entire ass and revealing his thoughts. I'm sorry, I have to click this link. What did he do? Is this going to be NSFW? I'm not sure what this means. Bearing his entire ass? Okay, that was a wild thing to say in this. I'm going to have to research that more later. And revealing his thoughts about LGBT people in general. You cannot be born gay. That's impossible biologically, he said. Joseph said sexuality is a preference, not an inherent orientation. Sexual preference from the Roman Empire to date, it's always a preference. Most of the people, they're victims of sexual abuse at a very young age. Joseph said people should, quote, look at the natural habitat. You never see a lion that mates with a male lion for life. You never see a giraffe, a male giraffe, that mates with a giraffe. Myself right now saying I am a giraffe, that doesn't mean it's true, unquote. What? That was a confusing train wreck of a screed. Hilariously, you do see lions and giraffes mating. Two male lions and giraffes. In fact, penguins are pretty famously gay, right? 10% of rams are gay. Like, this is a part of nature, actually, as a matter of fact. Also, would it change his opinion? Is he just using this because he thinks it's a good argument, or does he just not give a fuck? Obviously, he doesn't give a fuck, right? He's wrong about everything. People are born gay even if they don't realize it until later in life. It has nothing to do with sexual abuse. And you absolutely do see male lions mating with each other. Same with male giraffes, as the Sun Sentinel explained. A 2025 documentary, Animal Pride, Nature's Coming Out Story, and a 2024 documentary, Queer Planet. Dude, I love that title. Animal Pride, Nature's Coming Out story. That's awesome. And Queer Planet reported there are indeed giraffes, lions, and other animals that engage in same-sex behavior. Elsewhere in the interview, Joseph added that he was anti-abortion, too, which explained why the former Democrat left the party years earlier. He also ran for both U.S. House and Senate as a Democrat, most recently in 2024. He lost badly in both primaries. No wonder. His website explains that Rod believes in family values guided by his faith as a committed Christian. No word on how he would handle those family values if any of his children ever came out to him. Hilariously, there are, when you say it's a choice, you're kind of putting yourself in a pretty obvious trap there, right? Let me find... what was the name of that pastor? Pastor Manning. That's it. Let me find... Here. Yeah, here we go. Pastor Manning. A big famous pastor in the Bronx. I believe he pastored at Martin Luther King Jr.'s church, maybe? Or something like that. He's very famous. He ran for mayor and lost egregiously. But the point is, he's not a nobody. And he kind of explains the trap pretty clearly. When you say being gay is a lifestyle choice, that tells me that it's a choice for you. It's not a choice for me. I'm not gay. Okay? I like women, not men. That's just how I am. That's who I am. Now, why are you telling me that it's a choice? Is it a choice to you? Because if it is, you're not straight, right?
Pastor Manning, you said that Starbucks was putting semen of the sodomites in their coffee, but here's the interesting part, because it, quote, it flavors up the coffee and it makes you think you're having a good time, which then makes me wonder, do you equate drinking semen with a good time?
This is from February 3rd, 2016.
Well, you're pushing me up in a little bit of a corner here now, Jink, because I have to be very cautious here. But let me, in all precautions that I can exercise here now, say that, a number of people think that semen tastes good. A number of people think that drinking semen is a good idea.
Are you one of these people? I'm sorry. This is the right clip. Yeah, I'm going to have so much censoring to do on this.
Taste of semen.
Maybe we'll just cut this section out at the end, because he hasn't actually said what I wanted him to say yet in this clip. Just keep listening.
Is quite a flavor, and they seek it in the midst of other kinds of activities. And so one would think, well, all right, Starbucks has deduced that, listen, in an ingenious way, I would say, that we're more than infamous, ingenious way, they've discovered that since people like semen, and there's so many people drinking it from one another, their body fluids, why not put it in our coffees and flavor up our coffees?
So, Pastor Manning, I'm getting a sense overall from your descriptions here that you think that being gay is a lifestyle choice, so it's a choice that a lot of people would want to make.
Wow, dude, that was fucking wild. That was so fucking wild. I'm sorry. Everything about that was, confusing as hell. I completely forgot about that part of the clip. Oh my God, dude. Wow. Okay. And you're sitting here thinking to yourself, how does he know what it tastes like? Right? He's talking about how, quote unquote, flavorful it is. How does he know that? Is he one of these aforementioned unnamed individuals who Starbucks is targeting with their ad campaign or something?
You think that semen is delicious to a lot of people, and these are choices that people make. So it seems like perhaps if it wasn't for the Bible and the teachings of Moses, etc., that you might have been tempted by those choices as well. Is that the case? Have you been tempted?
Okay, now here's the question, right? if you think it's a gay, I'm sorry, if you think being gay is a lifestyle choice, then it means you could choose to be gay. Logically. This is the trap they put themselves in consistently.
Oh, absolutely. No doubt about it. You know, Jink, I spent 3.5 years in prison. So, yeah, I saw that and was tempted, but I didn't yield to temptation, by the
I don't believe you.
way. You need to know that. And make sure you publish that as well.
All right, so you thought about having gay sex, and that was tempting to you, and you thought that might be delicious or really fun, but you decided to hold strong and not do it. Is that?
Oh, it's so painfully stupid, dude.
Is that roughly right?
That is true.
The point is that these people kind of reveal their own inner thoughts, don't they? When talking about this subject. They kind of show us who they really are when they say being gay is a lifestyle choice that some people make. So, I'm not saying anything about this dude, this Florida Republican candidate. I have no idea what's going on inside his head. But when I hear a Republican tell people that it's a lifestyle choice that others have to resist, it gives me insight into their own minds and what they are thinking. That's the point here. His website explains that Rod believes in family values, guided by his faith as a committed Christian. No word on how he would handle those family values if any of his children ever came out to him. If this is supposed to catapult him to success in the upcoming Republican primary, I'm not sure it did him any favors. The other Republican candidates gave equally bigoted answers without using the same language. One just said, "I don't know how God made people," while both that one and a third candidate said they disagreed with what Joseph said, which doesn't mean they support LGBT rights at all. If there's any consolation here, it's that Florida has already gerrymandered the maps in the state, and this happens to be one of the few overwhelmingly blue districts left. The Democrat on the ballot is all but assured a victory. That's probably why the GOP candidates are so bad at this. The stronger Republican politicians know better than to jump into this race, which means the bulk of their party's nominees are the sorts of crazies who are repellent ideologues who just want to use this campaign as a launching pad for their next careers. Joseph must have seen the backlash to the interview, though, because on Wednesday he responded on Facebook with a message that doubles down on his bigotry while pretending he completely cares about LGBT people. Wow, this picture, though. It's so, like, it almost looks AI generated, right? It's so polished and clean cut. I don't know. It's just awful. My faith teaches me that every person is made in God's image and deserves to be treated with dignity and respect. No exceptions. In interviews, I speak that same... Does that include communists and or socialists? Do they deserve respect and dignity too? Or is that just for capitalists? In interviews, I speak from the same faith when I talk about my personal beliefs on marriage and family. I understand not everyone shares my religious convictions, and I respect that. What I will always fight for, as your congressman, is equal protection under the law, safety, and opportunity for every resident of District 20, regardless of who they are. That's the job. That's the promise. This is totally AI generated, right? This is 100% AI generated. Wow. Vapid garbage. In one of the most cited surveys of giraffe behavior in the wild, researchers found that up to 94% of observed giraffes' sexual activity was between two males. Not some, almost all of it. That's funny. I don't know if that's true. You're going to want to look that up, but that was a comment on his post. Absolutely fascinating. I'm not in Florida, so Rob doesn't represent me or my peers here in Alabama. With that said, to openly declare that one's sexual orientation is a preference and then attempt to correct one's sexual orientation, and then attempt to connect one's sexual orientation to develop, God, I'm going to get this sentence out, I swear. And then attempt to connect one's sexual orientation and develop to childhood sexual abuse is outdated and inaccurate. I think it's a little bit more than that, but okay. If that's what your faith dictates or guides you to believe, then I advise you to revisit your faith and what your constituents expect you to do and represent. You can absolutely represent family values without misrepresenting or misunderstanding an important demographic of people, often mistreated by the very people you claim to support, i.e. evangelicals and the hard right. Fascinating. What a poor dumb fool, honestly. This is Hemant Mehta speaking again. The fact that he didn't get specific about how he's protecting LGBT rights tells you he doesn't want to protect them at all. Plus, you can't treat people with dignity and respect when you're denying a vital part of who they are. The issue here isn't just that Joseph is wrong about gay people. He's wrong about them in a way that even conservative evangelical churches have fixed over the years. They'll freely admit that people are gay. They just urge them to never act on it. But if Joseph is perpetuating lies that peaked decades ago, it suggests he's incapable of getting good information on topics that would matter to his own constituents. He's too intellectually lazy and morally bankrupt to know better. I have no clue if he'll fare well in the Republican primary, but it's clear he doesn't think his bigotry will hurt him. That's probably accurate. Spreading anti-LGBT hate is par for the course at this point, and anyone who votes for Republicans at any level is complicit in the harm caused by the party. Absolutely agreed. Vile stuff, dude. Primaries are when you see the real crazies come out. You see some absolutely wild stuff in primaries. Like right now, there's a guy named, Matt Fritz, I think? Yes, Matt Fritz. Dude is absolutely insane. He said some insanely wild stuff. Like, just listen to this example. He's a Republican candidate for Tennessee governor. But he has pretty much no chance at taking the position, almost zero. So we don't really have to worry about it. But the fact is, Republican candidates for office during primaries are out of their fucking minds. Just listen to a second of this.
Islam is not a religion. Islam's a political movement. And Islam is something, we've allowed an Islamization in America that we're going to pay for if we're not careful. I know that's going to shock some of your listeners to hear that, and I don't offer it for shock.
So shocking.
But it is not a movement of seeking God in what many of us have viewed in other lands and have seen it. And just by their writings, it is not that. And I'm not picking on just Islam. I would offer that for Buddhism or Hinduism or many of these other pagan religions.
They're all pagan. Yeah, this dude actually said he wants to ban Islam from America. Outright ban Islam from America. These people are out of their fucking heads, dude. Anyway, tell me what you think about it in the comments. Simply insane. All right, let's see. What was the timer on that? This was 110 to 134. We're making good time. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right. Delete. Okay. Let's see. There was some other stuff I wanted to hit. But I'm just looking here. Hang on. You know what? Let's hit this story. This looks really interesting, actually. Damn, I really wish that my TTS model was working properly because it's really hard to keep up reading an article long form like that. But it doesn't sound very good right now, so I'm going to have to find another solution. I guess I'll just read it. Well, we'll hit this one in just a minute. Oh, yes, the influencer. I forgot about this. Check this article out from Check this article out from Hemant Mehta. Christian influencer brags that she had 6 kids to help the white race, quote unquote. We got a real winner here, folks. A Christian influencer is going viral for all the wrong reasons after posting videos featuring her children with captions celebrating how they're all white. Captions like, had 6 kids in 7 years to help the white race from going extinct, and let's bring back large white Christian families. Here, let's check some of this out. Video on the gram. Why do people call it Insta instead of the gram? The gram seems objectively better to me, right? Okay. God damn it. Let's bring large white Christian families back. Yeah, so this was just a video of her walking down the street holding white children. Jesus Christ, dude. 6 is so many kids. Oh my God. No, thank you. What's this say? Oh, it's just music again. Had 6 in 7 years to help the white race from going extinct. Fantastic. I was just looking here. Hold on. While those videos are more recent, Lady Sarah Elizabeth, a.k.a. Lady Sarah Elizabeth 06 on Instagram, has been posting content like this for a while now, using her kids as social media props. None of this is a recent change in character. She represents the sort of right-wing Elon Musk-pilled, Charlie Kirk-loving, great replacement theory-accepting, anti-immigration, racist Christian that's taken hold in the Republican Party. Which makes plenty of sense when you realize that she and her husband, a man who, in case you haven't guessed, is also white, rallied for Donald Trump before the 2024 elections. Wow, their picture with Trump. That's crazy. At the time, NBC News described the pre-rally prayer he delivered. The Reverend Joel Tenney spoke ahead of Trump, telling the several hundred supporters gathered that he wanted to talk to them as a pastor. We must re-elect President Trump for the 3rd time, Tenney said, echoing Trump's big lie rhetoric. He then said that the upcoming election is part of a spiritual battle with demonic forces at play. When Trump becomes the 47th president of the U.S., there will be retribution against all those who have promoted evil in this country, he said. Joel Tenney runs a solo ministry, Alpha Pneuma Ministries. Okay. But back to his racist wife, Sarah Elizabeth Tenney. Besides the I hate birth control Christian fundamentalism of it all, she's gone all in on the idea that what the world needs right now is more white people to undo the damage of non-white people and mixed-race families. After all, she says, white people deserve credit for bringing us all into modernity and inventing all modern technology. Wow, dude. Tenney frequently frames having a large white family as both a religious calling and a racial imperative. What is wrong with these people, genuinely? How is it that they've come to these conclusions in their lives? Fucking vile and insane. Among the many influencers posting this racist content, Sarah is the most popular and has the most powerful connections. This is why, whenever we talk about the scourge of Christian nationalism, it's important to stress how this is white Christian nationalism. There's a hell of a lot of overlap between the people who believe we ought to live in a country ruled by the religious beliefs and those who think white people are superior to everyone else. They go to church, they work for this Republican administration, they're welcome in both spaces. And the people who are in the orbit, even if they're not outwardly racist in the same way, are just as guilty of perpetuating this ideology. In Tenney's case, she just creates straw men left and right to justify her bigotry. Yeah, I feel like Christian nationalism in the United States right now is heavily focused on white nationalism. And I always find it fascinating when people ask the question, or when people try to lie and claim that the Democrats are the party of slavery. The Democrats are the ones who owned slaves back in the 1800s. When these types of people are running the Republican Party. Her husband is a famous Republican operative. She is a famous Republican like cheerleader or like social media influencer or whatever. This is what the Republican Party has to offer. These are the types of people that come out of the Republican Party. And then they claim Democrats are the racist party. It's like that, what was it from Orwell? The final and most important command, don't believe your, wait. No, what was it? I don't remember the exact quote, but it's like the quote from Orwell's 1984. You must believe the opposite of the truth. You can't just deny the truth. You have to convince people that it is the opposite of what it actually is. Where was I? She claims people want her to have abortions. They don't. Or that they're offered by her, or that they're offended by her kids. Or that everyone believes she's promiscuous. She's one of these people who believes everyone else's world revolves entirely around her existence, and she responds by pretending to be a voice of reason when what she's actually doing is proving her own inferiority. Yeah, like, I give a fuck how many kids you have. Like, I give a fuck if you're promiscuous. Like, that literally did not even cross my mind. I'm not offended by you having children or whatever. These people are perpetual fucking victims. They cannot deal with any criticism. Even when people aren't criticizing them, they can't handle it. Also, if you're constantly bragging that the only reason you have children is to perpetuate your race, you're telling on yourself. As if every child is conceived purely out of spite, to stick it to some imaginary internet strangers. Speaking of which, kudos to this internet stranger. A comment on her video. Congratulations to you and your brother. That's funny. How I feel having pushed out 6 white babies in 7 years. Congratulations to you and your brother. That's awesome. The conservative racism of the Iowa-based Armenia living couple has real-life implications, too. Wait. Armenia... They live in Armenia? What's this? That's interesting. Wait. This is about Pastor Joel.
People have asked me if I have any updates regarding the MAGA couple that lied on the black man in DC and got him arrested. The last update that I gave you all was that Joel Tenney had privated most of his accounts, and I believe TikTok, he might have deactivated his account. His wife, Sarah Elizabeth Tenney, is still on social media, but has limited her comment. And I believe partially that's as a result of them being called out as being full of shit. And also because I searched public record and found someone by the name of Joel Christian Tenney, similar to the name of the husband, also born August 7th, 1996, also from Iowa, who not only had multiple counts of criminal charges, but was actually convicted of one and given 2 years of probation. Now, with all that information, I publicly asked Joel Tenney to remove his videos about this innocent black man and to also drop the charges. And as of today, Sunday, September 21st, 2025, the charges have not been dropped. And so therefore, I will continue to move forward with my community that is in DC with ensuring that that innocent black man has support. I will not reveal that black man's name, and I hope that everyone else chooses to do the same, because the on-the-ground work is specifically not for social media. It is literally to help this black man, to help our community, and to protect.
I'm not familiar with this case. But this dude is a complete piece of shit, and we've known that for a long time, right? Anyway, let's continue. This isn't just online rhetoric. What Stephen Miller says on behalf of Trump is no different from the hate speech spewed by these people. But this is what passes as inspirational content in certain conservative Christian circles. Some of them use phrases like family values, demographic change, or protecting Western civilization. The Tennies don't even bother with euphemisms because they know their audience. Why hide the white supremacy when you can just toss in a few Bible verses and know your viewers will assume you're holy? How can any Christian be a white supremacist? I don't get it. Was Jesus a white person in your mind? How can you possibly justify being a white supremacist and a Christian simultaneously? Hold on. This also isn't anything new. Christianity has always been used to justify slavery and segregation. Yes, there have always been Christians who oppose those things, but you can't deny the role religion played in propping up the idea of a God-ordained racial hierarchy. That's why white Christian nationalism remains such a dangerous force in American politics. It's not just about putting prayer in schools or posting the 10 Commandments in classrooms. These people want to define what America looks like, theologically and literally. It's how they can convince their base that every election represents an existential threat to their way of life, because everyone who doesn't look or think like them, a Muslim mayor, a Democratic Socialist congresswoman, a Jewish city council member, must be an enemy. Which is why you need to breed an army of white Christian soldiers who can be used to boost your social media pages until they're old enough to enlist. Jesus Christ, that's insane. Absolutely. You know, aside from all of that, I really don't worry about white people, quote unquote, breeding their way into an army or whatever. I know that's something that people like these guys, these nutcases, think about on a daily basis and are actively attempting to do, but it doesn't work that way. Christian nationalists have been saying they're trying to breed their way into a Christian nation. Like the Duggars, 22 kids and counting or whatever, however many it was. Their goal was to breed their way into a Christian nation. That's just not how it works. You know why? Because people like me get on the internet and point out all of the fucked up flaws in their ideology, and people like them or their kids get on the internet and see videos like this, pointing out all the issues with their religious beliefs. That's why it doesn't work, because people have the free choice to leave the ideology when they get old enough, and most do. The saddest thing here may be that their kids are now trapped up their parents' that their kids are now that their kids are now wrapped up in their parents' overt racism. They'll grow up knowing they were the product of love, but my mind, when I read so much, I suddenly develop dyslexia out of nowhere. They'll grow up knowing they were never the product of love, but an extension of their parents' hatred. It's the least pro-life argument you can imagine. That's really poignant. That was a really good point. If this is what passes for family values in certain corners of the right, then more conservative Christians should speak out against it. Or it's safe to assume they're fine with it. It's a good point. Absolutely wild, dude. Absolutely wild that there are really people out there like this woman putting it out there and campaigning for Trump. And Trump is accepting the support. Have you once heard Donald Trump denounce white nationalism or Christian nationalism or any kind of racial hatred at all? I haven't. Anyway, tell me what you think about it in the comments. Insane. Insane that these people are out there. All right, let me write down my timestamp on that one. That was 134 to 150. 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, we're making good time. Really good time. All right. There was something else I wanted to watch. What was it? Oh, this. I wanted to talk about this. But man, does my voice hurt. Reading so long really makes my voice hurt. We'll cover this, but let's cover something else first so that I give my voice a chance to rest from all that reading. Kyle Donovan, my parents tried to brainwash me when I was a kid. I wrote an essay questioning the Patriot Act that a dude in Arizona took my paper and was busted for plagiarism. Wow, interesting. Yeah, parents try to brainwash their children. I mean, I was, of course, brainwashed as well as a Jehovah's Witness, right? But people leave. It doesn't stick. Luckily, ideologies oftentimes have a really difficult time pulling people in and keeping them. Maybe we can add this to the end of the video because it's a valuable lesson, but I mean, it's a lesson in kind of how things work. Jehovah's Witnesses, for example, bring in almost nobody through door knocking, for example. Almost all of their people, their new converts, are brought in through the next generation joining the religion. You know, like existing Jehovah's Witnesses children coming in and joining the religion. That is almost always how it works. But I'm trying to remember. I was trying to say something. Oh, yeah. But even that is a flawed system. Because people grow up and they realize how absolutely full of shit these people are and they leave. You know, the only other demographic, this is slightly off subject, the only other demographic that's consistently, reliably joining Jehovah's Witnesses right now, people from underdeveloped countries. You know, like Venezuela and Cambodia, Estonia, although Estonia to a lesser degree, because that's a little bit more of a developed country, I think. Nigeria and Ethiopia, places like that. They are joining to a much higher degree, and Jehovah's Witnesses are kind of becoming a religion of developing countries because they're losing people, actively losing people in the United States, last I checked anyway. So anyway, I think it's fascinating that they are doing literally every underhanded trick in the book that they can think of to try to get new converts. Brainwash children, get them to get baptized, join and get baptized as early as humanly possible, 7 years old. So you sign that lifelong contract and you're stuck in it forever, and it still isn't working for them. It's really interesting to me. Anyway, yeah, my voice still hurts. So let me see if I... oh, yeah, and Nerico, 47 months. That's nuts. 4 years, dude. That's crazy. 4 years. One more year, or one more month, and it'll be 4 years. Absolutely wild. Thank you for the support, Nerico. I'm glad you've been here. I have some more Lindsey Graham stuff. Let's see here. Give me a second. I'm just looking. All right. Well, instead of the extra Lindsey Graham stuff, actually, let's cover David Barton real fast so my voice has time to heal. He says some wild shit, dude. Open this one. Wait, how long is this one? This one's too long. I didn't mean to open that one. Praises Trump's presidency.
Trump's now been in office about.
Justifies attacking the Smithsonian. Slavery isn't that significant. We shouldn't focus on it. Forgot about that one. Was insane. What's this?
So say there's some religious.
No, I've seen that.
We're getting attacked because you love. The northern states were very. See, God has a lot to say about economics.
Okay, this is good.
See, God. The northern states were very anti-slavery because they.
Okay, let's cover Barton real fast so my voice can feel better. Let me just check this. All right. Open this puppy up. Here we go. What was it that he said in this one? This was Founding Fathers. Right. Check this out. This is a pseudo-historian, a fake historian who claims to have credentials that he doesn't. Just flat out lying about American history here. Listen to this.
They had debtors' prisons. And so you'll find the people like Robert Morris and other founding fathers, nobody would give America a loan in those early years. I mean, who would? I mean, if 56 guys say, I'm going to take on Russia and overthrow Russia, we'd say, you're crazy and we're not going to back your revolution. Nobody was giving loans to the founding fathers, so they took it out of their own pockets. And in doing so, American government was unable to pay them back. We didn't have money to operate. There were times where no soldier got paid for months on end. We just didn't have the money. And so what happened, these guys, founding fathers, were in debt when the war ended, and they get thrown in debtor's prison because they can't pay their debts.
No. The founding fathers were thrown in debtor's prison because they couldn't pay their debts. Really? In no way is that true. Not even a little bit. This whole fucking thing is fabricated. How does he have the twig and berries to come out here and say some shit like that? Like, it's completely made up. Completely. There isn't even a grain of truth to that. It seriously, deeply infuriates the fucking shit out of me when I hear people flagrantly, blatantly lie to people, knowingly lie. What a fucking wild thing to say, dude. Hang on. I'm just looking here. Give me a second. Okay.
Well, they voluntarily gave it all for America, but they still go to debtor's prison like Robert Morris and others. And so that tells me that they were willing to do that. I mean, they did it. They got there. They didn't complain about being there. They understood what was going on. That's the way the law is written. And it just tells me a whole lot about their commitment and their willingness. It's like they counted the cost before they got there, and there's not a single instance of even one of them even slightly backing up on having given their word. Nobody regretted it.
So is he saying we should have debtors' prisons? If you owe like $5,000 to like a credit card company or something, and you can't afford to pay it, they throw you in fucking prison to work as a slave? Is that what he's advocating for? I think that's what he's advocating for right now. What the fuck? Morris, Robert Morris, he did fund the war personally, apparently. That's real. $10,000 of his own money was lent in 1776 that provisioned the troops, and he borrowed against his own assets to move the army to Yorktown. He was superintendent of finance, 1781 to 84. But he did not go to prison for being in fucking debt. In February 1795, 12 years after the war ended, Morris co-founded the North American Land Company with James Greenleaf and John Nicholson. It was a speculative It was a speculative land trust, 30,000 shares, 6 million acres across Georgia, Kentucky, and the Carolinas, and Pennsylvania, Virginia, and D.C. It was a disaster, apparently. It was really bad. Over 2 million acres were worthless because they were like the Georgia Pine Barrens, I guess. Morris and Nicholson had been personally guaranteeing each other's notes. By 1798, they owed $10 million in personal notes, trading at 1/8 face value. The Napoleonic buildup killed European investment. The bubble burst. The Panic of 1796 to 97 finished him. That's the story. Morris entered Prune Street debtor's prison in February 6th. I'm sorry. Morris entered Prune Street debtor's prison on February 16th, 1798, and stayed until August 1801. Wow. So he did go to debtor's prison, just not for funding the Civil War. That part is completely fabricated, apparently. What the fuck, dude? Why would he just lie about this? He had to know that the dude went to debtor's prison, right? But he had to know it was fake. He had to. He had to know what he just said was a lie. Just looking through here. Okay. Let's talk about some of the other clips from David Barton, because the dude is completely full of shit with every fucking thing he says. Check this clip out. This is an older one. 2021, October 10th.
The northern states were very anti-slavery because they were very Bible-oriented. The southern states were very Christian-professing, but they didn't know much about the Bible, and they didn't read it much. They just...
The South, famously known for not being very religious or reading the Bible. Even back then in the Civil War. Are you fucking telling me you think people were not religious in the South? Not very religious? They literally used the Bible as the basis to justify slavery. I mean, the Bible is pretty clear that slavery is good and you should do it, right? Even explains how. How the fuck can this dude say this with a straight face? It's shameless, shameless lies from him.
Just profess to be Christians.
They just profess to be Christians. Hold on. Listen to this one.
See, God has a lot to say about economics.
I'm sorry, let me turn this up.
See, God has a lot.
Nope, need a little bit more.
See, God has a lot to say about economics. You know that God talks about what we call the capital gains tax? The Bible also talks about things like the estate tax, the inheritance tax. It talks about progressive taxes, it talks about flat taxes, it talks about capitation taxes. The Bible has so much on economics. It's interesting, even as Jesus and Peter were talking, and Jesus said, Peter, he said, tell me, who pays taxes, the children or the foreigners? And Peter said, oh, that's easy. Children don't pay taxes. It's the foreigners that pay taxes. Really? Yeah, see, that's why in early America, you didn't tax the citizens. There was no direct taxes. We had to alter the Constitution to be able to tax you directly.
Lie. This one is just a flat-out, bald-faced fucking lie. The Constitution explicitly authorizes direct taxes. It just requires them to be apportioned among the states by population. It does not bar them. He's just flat-out lying here. Congress had the power to institute taxes, and they used that power. In 1798, a $2 million apportioned tax on houses, land, and slaves. Dwellings over $100 were taxed at progressive rates from 0.2 to 1%. It triggered Fry's Rebellion, apparently. I didn't realize that. 1813 and 1815, direct property taxes during the War of 1812. 1861, direct taxes again for the Civil War. This is just a lie. He's just lying. Does he, like, enjoy this? Is it, like, why does he do this? Why does he just flat out fucking lie to people like this? There is nothing more infuriating to me than somebody who claims to be a historian flat out bald-faced fucking lying to your face.
Because we had all the taxes on the foreigners. We had all the tariffs and all the different ways of taxing the things that came from the outside, not the inside. Well, that was a tax piece of policy out of the Bible. What an amazing thing that would be to go back to that.
Everything the dude says is a fucking lie, pretty much. Listen to this clip. This is from his podcast with his son, Tim. And I think on the left here is Rick Green of Patriot Academy. Teaches people to pass biblical citizenship tests. You know, can't be a citizen unless you can name the books of the Bible and shit.
Yes, slavery was part of America's story, but that's not...
I'm sorry, hang on. Give me a second. Let me find this again. Okay. Step back. All right.
Yes, slavery was part of America's story, but that's not the defining part of America's story. And I'm using this as just one example.
I mean, it's a pretty important part of America's story, isn't it? Would it be fair to say it's a pretty fucking important part? The Civil War and everything else? An integral, the linchpin, one might say, of our history.
When the story is being told that this is the most significant thing for American history, it's a very dishonest and disingenuous approach, because there's so much more to the story than the fact that we had slaves for less than 100 years in our nation's history. That's
complete nonsense. This is factually incorrect. The only way you can get to that number is if you count from 1776 to 1865 when the Civil War ended. But chattel slavery was actually in the United States clear into the 16th century. So we're talking 1500s all the way to 1865. We're looking at over 240 years of slavery in the United States. 240 years. The country is a total of 250 years old. So what he's saying here is complete bullshit. Why would he downplay this? Seriously, why not just accept the fact that slavery happened and say, slavery bad, and move on with your life? Why are you defending fucking slavery?
Be really something celebrated. That we had slavery for almost the least amount of time in any nation's history, in the history of the world. That's a pretty big deal.
Nope, that's not true either, as a matter of fact. Right here, I've got, okay, I got a list here. Nations that abolished slavery before the United States. Haiti, Chile, Federal Republic of Central America, Mexico, Bolivia, British Empire, France, Denmark. I could go on and on. 1804, 1823, 1824, 1829. We were the last in a long line. Well, not the last. We were pretty far down the list. This is just another lie. If he's speaking on the subject, he has to know what he's saying is a lie, right? If he's speaking on it enough to know anything about it to any degree, he must have looked this up. He knows he's lying. What walls are these wall builders building? They're building the border wall, I believe. Yeah, I believe that's what it was. It was about the border wall, I think, if I remember correctly. Either that or they're tearing down the wall between church and state. I don't know. Let me see if I can find out. All right, let's keep listening here.
Least amount of time in any nation's history, in the history of the world. That's a pretty big deal. The fact that we fought a war where white people fought against white people, at the end of the war, they freed all the black people. I mean, we can go down the list of why America...
Wait, I'm sorry. Did he say white people freed all of the black people? Is that what he said? I think black people fought for their own freedom, actually. I don't think... I mean, to get anything accomplished, especially when it comes to like a civil war, you have to have everybody on the same page. You have to work with everybody. Right? So to end slavery, it couldn't just be the black community. It had to be white people. It had to be Mexicans. It had to be everybody possible to fight for this cause. But he's trying to get a thank you from black people, apparently, as a white person. Not because he fought in the Civil War. Tim Barton didn't fight in the Civil War, obviously. He's trying to get a thank you from black people because as a white person, he deserves it. As a white person, he was responsible for ending slavery. White people were responsible for ending slavery, and he deserves a thank you for that, in his mind. What is fucking wrong with these people, dude? Genuinely fucking evil. Genuinely evil. Not just stupidity at this point. Full-blown evil, in my opinion. Anyway, tell me what you think about it in the comments. The English tried to enslave my Irish ancestors and came here. Interesting. Yeah, slavery's been around for a long time, sadly, unfortunately. I just don't understand why these people are not denouncing slavery, saying simply, slavery bad, and moving on with their lives. When people look at me, an atheist, and they say, do you denounce the evils of Stalin or Mao? I say, yes, they were bad people. They did bad things. You know, genocide bad. And I move on with my life. Even though what they did was not done for atheistic reasons. It's so simple to just say evil things are not good. It's preferable that these evil things do not take place. It's so easy. They cannot manage it. Anyway, tell me what you think about it in the comments. These people are absolutely fucking wild. All right, let's see. Where was the timestamp on that one? That was 1:50 to 2:13. That's pretty good. That's good timing. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah. All right. I think we're good. We're in good shape. I would like to cover this, but I don't have the voice for it right now. Anyway, tell me what you think about it in the comments. Just crazy shit. I guess I'm going to get out of here. Oh, just saying hi and thank you for all you do. Well, thank you, Joni Cummings. I appreciate you being here. And for being a member for 36 fucking months. That's nuts. I really appreciate that. All right, I'm going to get out of here. I will talk to you guys on the flippity flip, which is to say on Wednesday, hopefully. All right? All right. Later, everybody.